people across the grand and mighty spectrums of time and indeed the multiverse. My name is Alexander Gordon-Johans, and I have finished watching the British House of Cards. That is the British televisual adaptation of the novel series House of Cards. The one with Ian Hutchinson in the lead role as Francis Urquhart. And look, this is a series that, on paper, I shouldn't really like, because it is a series about horrible people doing horrible things to other horrible people. And it is also a series about, essentially, the Tories reigning high and murderous, horrid bastards. I mean, people talk about Game of Thrones and how but it's so horrible on Game of Thrones, and that everybody who you like on Game of Thrones dies. No, literally, that's House of Cards, right? Like, no one on Game of Thrones has actually given me as much of an utter gut punch as House of Cards has consistently. Well, apart from the final series. Yes, because see, there is one element of House of Cards that is rather a weakness of mine. And I kind of talked about it sort of yesterday to a certain extent, where I'm not necessarily the nicest of people. I try to be nice. I like to be nice, but I'm not necessarily the nicest of people in and of myself, deep down. And in the British House of Cards, the lead character, I don't like to call him any kind of protagonist or hero or anything, because he's not even an anti-hero or an anti-villain. He's just a shit. But Francis Urquhart is charismatic, and he has this absurd way, probably because he's a powerful man, of attracting incredibly attractive younger women who will place themselves into submissive roles for him, which is odd, and also means that, that is a weakness of mine. Beautiful submissive women is a weakness of mine, particularly in fiction, because in real life I would never fucking believe it. And so in fiction, I find myself often, funnily enough, incredibly interested in the well-being of said women, and yeah, the British House of Cards likes to make you care about them, and then likes to make it hurt. Just make it really fucking hurt. I kind of almost don't want to go into spoilers, but it's, yeah. This is a show that kind of dangles this thing out there of like, these are characters that you care about, and then it's just like, and we're going to hurt them. And so by the end of it, by the end of it, you really are just kind of like, bring the bastard down. And yes, it's kind of refreshing to be done with it now, because it's like every series is kind of delightful, but it is also kind of like, I want the pain to stop, but in a good way, you know. I I think, you know, I felt like that when it comes to, say, Farscape, where Farscape is like Farscape is an incredibly brilliant show, but it is also a show that typically ends with a great deal of pain for the characters you care about. And so you're kind of like, please let the pain stop. Whereas House of Cards doesn't have anywhere near the wit or the charm or fun of Farscape. Um, House of Cards is a very dry British satire, and I actually think that this like this is the show that you want to watch if you want to get hurt. Because Game of Thrones is a bit too. There is an extent to where Game of Thrones is predictable in its maliciousness, whereas House of Cards leaves you uncertain. House of Cards has this amazing ability to tell you two entirely contradictory stories with two entirely separate yet interwoven character arcs and narratives. And as you're following it along, you're kind of wondering, how is it going to end? Right? It would be like if Game of Thrones, the books particularly, books try to sort of take a classic large narrative, large fantasy narrative, and sort of backfill it in with realistic things of, you know, of good people and bad people turning up, and bad people being more complex than they seem, good people being more complex than they seem, and the really good people die. Well, House of Cards sort of has a villain protagonist sort of thing. Although even that is sort of being a bit too cliche, tropey, but it's sort of got a villain protagonist, someone whose plot is very much, at least as far as I'm concerned, as a left-wing person, it's a very distinctly not nice agenda, and this character is going about his sort of social political climbing. And at the same time as this is going on, sort of his prey typically will have their own schemes going on. And it's like, I found myself wanting somehow for both these things to have been in accord. For you know, the great villain protagonist to come out on top, but also at the same time for the hero to come out on top, and for them to remain utterly bound with each other. But of course, that's just kind of guaranteeing hurt, and it is a series that hurts. particularly the first and second series. The third series is basically a slow burning catharsis of just like, well, I suppose it's sort of like sort of like Brexit, in the sense that it's like, yeah, it's a clusterfuck, but God, it was good to see David Cameron go. You know, it's like, this is a goddamn disaster. It's horrible. This is happening, but yes, the people that I have grown to hate are going. Anyway, I can't really go on much longer because there isn't really much more to say, because I don't want to sort of talk about spoilers, and even if I did, I'd basically just spend, an entire hour just going, oh, I really like this actress and I really like the character she plays. And yes, Ian Hutchinson as Francis Urquhart. That's a hell of a performance. I suppose there is a very sort of happy ending for me in that sort of. Well, I suppose the idea is that this is an alternate reality where, instead of a succession of lukewarm Tory politicians, you get Francis Urquhart, and then I like to imagine sort of New Labour bursting in, Tony Blair sort of turning up with D-Ream playing "Things Can Only Get Better," and then of course the Iraq War happens. except I suppose that in the universe in which House of Cards takes place, that the Iraq War maybe isn't seen as such a terrible, terrible thing because of events that happen in the course of House of Cards. But yeah, I mean, of course, I suppose it's like, yeah, it's really optimistic to say that New Labour will turn up, but then you sort of follow that logically onwards, and it's like, okay, Iraq, recession, housing crash, then deep economic downturn, austerity, breakup of the EU, Donald Trump, and 2016 being a horrible, horrible pile of shit. But at least you can imagine an immediate moment of hopefulness after House of Cards. Whereas, unfortunately, I suppose the American House of Cards, all there is to look forward to is just like, well, 2017 now, I suppose, kicking everyone's heads in. Anyway, I think, speaking of the American House of Cards, I'm going to be watching the West Wing next. Some nice idealism about how the fuck politics is supposed to work, about how the fuck American politics is supposed to work. Because yes, it's rather terrible. And incidentally, if you're kind of wondering what's happening here, I have been turning my old trousers, which had holes in them, into hankies. So this is one thing of trouser leg, and the hanky. So that's basically what I've been doing whilst I've been watching the British House of Cards, and I guess I will bid adieu. See ya. Thank you to all my Patreons at patreon.com for helping to make videos like this possible. If you wish to leave a like or dislike to rate the video for my analytics, that would be much appreciated. Comments are always welcome, though be aware that they will be moderated before being published, so please be civil. If you liked this video, please consider adding it to your favourites, sharing it to your friends, or subscribing. If you wish to help me out, or my channels, please consider whitelisting my videos in your adblock software, subscribing for monthly donations through Patreon, or giving a small one-off donation. Alternatively, I have a Steam wishlist for games I would consider Let's Playing or streaming, so if you would like to see me broken before the Dark Souls altar, or just happen to have gotten a duplicate of a game in a humble bundle, then you know what to do. I also have an official Facebook fan page, Twitter account, Tumblr, Reddit and blog, so you can stay up to date with all of my videos, blog articles and the things I care about. Links are in the video description. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I think that all that now needs to be said is ban all guns, institute universal basic income now, and ensure government is elected by proportional representation. Oh, and also, fuck the racists and fuck the alt-right. It is a reward for Patreons that who donate $5 or more, that they get thanks for donating $5 or more to my Patreon, and I haven't been doing that because I'm sort of shit at things, and so I am going to be thanking all the people who have donated $5 or more, basically for all time so far, and this is going to be re-recorded every time someone else donates $5 more in future. So anyway, without further ado, here we go. Thank you to Michael Hamilton Fletcher, who donated on September the 13th, 2015. And thank you to Marcus Anthony Infante, who pledged $5 on September the 3rd, 2016, and thank you to Henry Wotton, who pledged $5 on September the 8th, 2016. Thank you to both of you, lovely, to all three of you, lovely people, and I will indeed be remembering to keep actually rewarding my Patreons for, you know, donating money to keep me alive, because that's nice, and because I have seen people complaining that, well, you know, this link to send you care packages from Amazon, all of the things on the wish list are really expensive. Yeah, well, you know, you can just give me money as well. That would be appreciated. So Patreons, thank you. You are lovely, wonderful. Apologies that you watch my videos, because I'm a sort of grotesque flesh golem of idiocy. Why? But anyway, thank you. Also, thanks to Martin Heavey, Cestrian vlogger, for pledging $5 a month on Patreon.